Hi, this is Tim Yoder with Fit Small Business. Today I'm going to evaluate FreshBooks on Chapter 2 of the Fit Small Business case study. So Chapter 2 deals with predominantly accounts payable, but we're going to be purchasing inventory through the accounts payable process. So that will deal with inventory. We're going to want to assign those expenses to projects, so we'll be dealing with projects as well. So we cover a lot of area in Chapter 2. So let's get started. The first task is to record a utility bill dated January 10th from New York City Electric Company for $150 that is due on the 20th. So you are recording the expense, but you're not paying the expense. So we want to record this as an unpaid bill. So within FreshBooks, we can go to expenses. And under expenses here, we can see it's in beta version, but we can record bills. Okay, so let's create a new bill. Okay, so we are going to have to add a vendor. Let's see if we can, we maybe should have added a vendor before the new bill. Let's see if we can add it on the fly here. So what if I do New York City Electric Company? Yes, it does look like it'll allow me to create it on the fly here. Okay, so we can enter a bill number if we had one. If we had a receipt, we could click and drag it and drop it right there. Very cool. So here we're going to just say utility bill. So category should be utilities. Good, they have a utilities account set up for us already. We will just put it in here at $150. Okay, good. So there we go. That's our unpaid bill. Oh, so here we have a due date. So it automatically calculated that due date. Looks like under net 30, but we say we want it due on, oh, we have to put the issue date here too. So 01/10. When you hit the back button, it deletes the whole thing. Okay. And again, yeah, it looks like it's doing net 30, but we want net 10. Okay, so when we're done with this bill, let's go into the vendors and see if there's some options we can set. Okay, there we go. So we've got the issue day. Okay, so let's save this. I think we're done with that. Okay, let's look at our vendors. We should now have a vendor for New York City Electric. And let's see what options we can enter in here. So it does give us the outstanding bills to that vendor. That's pretty nice. So some here, okay, let's go edit vendor. So here we can put the account number, website, phone, street address, currency and language, tax type. Oh, very nice. If it's a 1099 contractor, which the utility company would not be, we can mark it there. And if we have to pay sales tax that we want to track separately, we can mark it there. Okay, I don't see anything where we can mark custom terms. It's nice to do that, but it's not a huge factor. It does look like they do have some good options there. Okay, excellent. So we created a vendor just fine. We recorded an expense without paying it. We gave it a due date. We can attach a copy of the receipt, and we will have to look at whether we can do a copy through the app when we look at the mobile app. Okay, so let's move on to the next question here. The next one is to record the purchase of a miter saw from Lowe's by uploading this receipt. So it gives us a copy of the receipt, and we're going to try to record the expense based on uploading the receipt instead of entering it by hand. So let's go to expenses, and let's go to a new expense. And now let's try to drop and drag the receipt. Let's see if I can find it. Okay, so I'm going to drag this Lowe's receipt. So all that did is it downloaded a copy of the receipt to my computer. It didn't open it. Okay, so I can open it there. And there's our Lowe's receipt. Okay. So you can attach a receipt, but it doesn't extract any of the information out of the receipt. It's purely just an image file, no extraction or anything. So we still have to do everything else by hand. So category is going to be like small tools or equipment. Well, let's see what our choices are. We'll just put it to supplies. Again, we can't change our chart of accounts without getting the accountant to do it. So we're just going to stick it to supplies. Vendor is Lowe's, and the total is $301.09. Okay, now, so this is an expense. We're paying it right now. Where is it coming from? Like, what account are we paying it from? Can we change that account? So that's the currency. That's kind of neat that you can do different currencies. But how are we supposed to know what account it's coming out of? What if it was coming out of a credit card? Okay. Well, let's see if we can tell by looking at our balance sheet. So it came out of our cash, but which one of our cash? Our balance sheet certainly can give us more of a breakdown than that. I want this to be a comparative from the beginning of. Well, so what it's doing is it's giving us the total in the parent accounts, but it's not giving us the total by the sub accounts that we set up. That is not very good. Let's see if we can. We got to be able to change the format. Okay, let's go back, see if there's a more detailed balance sheet. Okay, there's not a more detailed balance sheet. Let's look at the general ledger. Okay, so this general ledger shows that that expense came out of our petty cash. And was there any way to change that from petty cash to our checking account? Let's look again. Let's go expenses. So merchant. Okay, let me do a little bit of research. Okay, so I'm back, and I called customer support because I couldn't find anything for this. FreshBooks is known for their customer support, and it was very good. I dialed the number. They picked up immediately. I think maybe I had to hit a button or two to get to a live person, but not bad at all. Maybe once or twice. Got a live person, picked up immediately, was able to help me with my answer, with my question. Very good customer support. So the way the system is designed is odd. So let's go back to this general ledger report here. So basically, any transaction you enter by hand is going to automatically be taken out of petty cash. And we can see that, right? So we bought this saw, and it came out of petty cash. When we reconcile the checking account, we'll have this petty cash transaction show up that we can then assign to that checking account. So eventually we will get it assigned to the right account, but that's done during the reconciliation process instead of when you're actually inputting the expense. So that is weird. Now, if you they definitely prefer that you just have all of your expenses flow over from your bank account, which makes a lot of sense. And when they do, then obviously they're going to get taken out of the correct account. But whenever you enter an expense by hand, it's going to get taken out of petty cash originally, and then you can assign it to the proper checking account when you do that checking account's reconciliation. So makes sense, I guess. Once you're used to it, it'll be fine. Okay, so let's move on then. Record a recurring expense of $150 for telephone service. The expense is automatically paid from the checking account on the 5th of each month. So let's do new expense. This was for telephone. Okay. So actually we can't create balance sheet, we can't create asset and liability and equity accounts, but we can create expense accounts called categories. Okay, and this we want to be January 5th. Merchant is New York City Telephone. Just assume the vendor was New York City Telephone Company. Okay. And the amount was $150. And that's going to be a recurring expense. So let's go up here to make recurring. Make recurring. Okay, so the next expense date. Okay, so we may not be able to do this. Yeah. So I've found this trouble in most of the software, which is actually fine. Basically, it's saying that we can't do it for prior days. So today's real date is October 21st. I'm trying to say that we want to set up a recurring expense starting January. Well, February through November's already happened, right? So it's not going to let us do it. So we'll go ahead. We'll set it up for November 5th. Okay. Infinite or so many remaining. How often monthly? We could set it for weekly, yearly, custom. Okay, very nice. So this looks very good. I like this. Nice recurring expense feature. Okay, and save it, and it'll come out of our petty cash for now, but we can get that corrected later when we do our reconciliation. Okay, so let's, maybe we need to go to our scorecard here. So we attached a receipt. Is the receipt read and transaction created or just attached? It's just attached, so I'm going to give it a 0 there. Can you create a recurring expense? Yes. Okay. Next task. Set up an inventory item for plumbing widgets. Purchase price of $10, sales price of $25. So I know that there are some items we can set up, but FreshBooks does not deal with inventory well at all. So if you saw chapter 1 of the case study, we can't even set up a balance sheet account properly for inventory. But let's see what we have for items, what we can set up for items. Okay, so let's create a new, see what our choices are here. So items can be added. So items can be added to your invoices to bill your customers. And services help you keep track of where you're spending time and can be billed to your clients. Okay, so we're going to create an item called plumbing widget. And we'll just call them plumbing widgets again. Okay, so this actually does have some sort of feature for inventory. Interesting. So we are going to say, okay, rate. I think because the way it's described is we bill it to our customer. So I'm guessing what this is asking for is how much we're going to sell it for. The question is this the sales price or the purchase price? I'm going to assume it's the sales price. Okay, and let's track inventory. And we don't have any in stock right now. Okay, so save. Okay, plumbing widgets have been added. Okay, record a purchase order on 1/5/2021 for 150 plumbing widgets from the widgets guy for $10 per order. So this is going to be expenses. We don't have any sort of option to purchase to do purchase orders. So we're going to have to skip over the purchase order part. Okay. On 1/15, you receive 100 of the widgets ordered for $10 per unit. The invoice is dated 1/14 and due 1/24. Okay, so let's do an invoice here. So we've received a bill from the widgets guy. Okay. The bill is dated 1/14 and due 1/24. Okay. Now, so it doesn't look like we can use our inventory item here. So we'll call it widgets. We'll call it plumbing widgets. But see, instead of a category, I would like to charge it to. I'd like to put it into the plumbing widgets item, so it knows that we have additional units of it. When I set up the item, it acted like it was going to track the quantity. But if I can't record the purchase of a widget, how in the world is it ever going to know the quantity? Okay, so I think the best I can do here, I would like to stick it to inventory, but it's not allowing you to enter a balance sheet account here at all. So I think the best I'm going to be able to do is put it to cost of goods sold. Does it? Okay, it doesn't even have a cost of goods sold. Yeah, this is not good software for inventory. For services, I think it would be very good, but it's not for inventory. So let's create a cost of goods sold. And actually, I'm going to call it purchases, but we'll show it on the income statement as a cost of goods sold account. It doesn't even give us a choice here to put it as cost of goods sold. Okay, so we'll just do it as other expenses. Okay, we're going to purchase them for $10 a piece, and we purchased 150 of them. No, we only received 100 of them. Okay, so $1,000. Okay, so let's save that. There was no way to record that as a purchase of inventory, so the next thing it asks us to do is view the inventory units available, and on purchase order we can't do that because it didn't let us specify that that was inventory at all. On 125.21 you received the remaining 50 widgets at a price of $11 per unit. The invoice is dated 124 and is due 23. Okay, so we're just going to have to enter another bill. I'm going to do this very quickly. I don't care about the due date. It's different than what the case study says, but let's just do this quickly. Category purchases. This time we paid $11 and the quantity was 50. Okay, save. Okay. So there we go. We can't view units of inventory available, anything like that. Let's go up here and let's look at our items and services list. Right, it's got plumbing widgets, current stock. I don't know how it expects to track the current stock when you can't indicate when you purchase items. Right, the only way you can do it is to put the number you have in stock. So I guess you could, I could manually enter the 150 here, but that's not really doing it. I mean, that's not using the system. Okay. Record the following expenses for a project for your customer family bowling. Name the project bathroom renovation. So this is something that FreshBooks does pretty well at. So they do have projects. Okay, so before we set up the project, let's set up our first client. So this client is family bowling. So let's add a new client. Okay, looks like we have some options over here. Let's just say save. Okay, there we have our first client. Now let's go to projects. Let's create this bathroom renovation project. Okay, so we want to create we'll call it a flat rate project. No, we'll charge this, call it an hourly project. We'll see how that works. Okay, let's assign a client. Family bowling. Okay, enter the project name, bathroom renovation. Okay, good. So let's see. Estimate type, project type, set expense markup. Okay, looks like it's got some nice features. Okay. On 115, you pay Hank independent for contract work. You pay Hank $30 per hour for 40 hours, but will eventually bill your customer $80 per hour. Record this information as an item. So I want to make a contract labor item. So let's go to our items and services, and let's create a new service called contract labor. And I think this is going to ask us what we want to bill the client for it. So you pay $30, but eventually we're going to be wanting to charge our customers $80 an hour, and it is billable. And we'll automatically add this to all new projects. Okay, save. Okay, so let's record Hank independent here. No, let's not, because he's an independent contractor, so let's pay him through our normal vendor system. Okay, so let's expenses, new expense, contractors. The vendor is Hank independent. Okay, now assign it to a client or project. Actually, let's put in the amount here. The amount here is $1,200. Okay, we want to assign it to a client or project. And this is the bathroom renovation. So mark as billable, so you can invoice a client for this expense later. And we want to add a markup. Okay, so I didn't make this easy. So we paid him $30 an hour, and we want to bill them $80 an hour, so that would be $3,200. So what is that about? I'm going to bill them $3,200. So the old plug and chug method. Close enough. We'll bill them $3,120 for his labor. Okay, so let's hit done. I like that. That actually works pretty nice. And let's hit save. Okay. Oh, you know what? One other thing. Let's go in here. I think there is a place to put that we're going to have to give Hank a 1099. Well, you know what? We saw one earlier. Oh, I know. I know where it was. Let's go to our vendors. Why is Hank Independent not in our vendor list? Oh, I guess because I set him up as a contractor. Maybe since we charged a contractor, they show contractors as something different than vendors. Okay, that's fine. Moving on. Um, on 1.5, you pay a $200 permit fee and you'll pass this expense through to your customer. Okay, so let's set up an item for permit fee. And we are going to charge the customer just the $200. We're not going to mark that up. Okay, we've got that set up. Now we can quickly do the expense. So a new expense. Okay. Now actually setting it up as an item did no good because we can't use items to record expenses. We can only use items to bill clients. Okay, that's okay. So $200. Now we want to assign it to a client or project. So assign it to the bathroom renovation. Mark it as billable. We don't want to add a markup. Done. Okay, and save. Very good. Okay, so let's okay, now it asks us to view the expenses incurred but not yet invoiced for the family bowling restroom renovation. So can we view our unbilled expenses? Yes, look at that. Cool, right? So the saw from Lowe's is not billable, and so it doesn't have anything, but the other expenses, they are marked as being unbilled. Okay, let's go to our clients and see if they're also listed there. Okay, let's go under family bowling. Okay, let's see, maybe under expenses. Oh yeah, right up there is unbilled expenses. They have unbilled expenses of $33.20. Very nice. Okay, and the $33.20 is the yeah, that's the contract labor marked up. Okay, very good. So I like it. It seems to be doing the project accounting pretty nicely. So let's go to our rubric here, our scorecard. So create an inventory item. I'm not going to give it credit because it's not allowing us to use the inventory item on our purchase document, on our invoice. There is no purchase order, no purchase order. Create a bill for the purchase of the inventory. Yeah. View inventory available, no. Inventory on purchase order. No, we can't do anything with inventory. Okay, we were able to create a project. We did put them as a contractor, so that should be tracking their payments for 1099s. We see, so the service item, yes, we created the contract labor and that worked nicely. We gave a cost for the service item, and then we let's see, we were able to mark it up, so I'm going to go ahead and give that. Pay the independent contractor using the service item. No, we didn't actually use the service item, did we? No, we just recorded it as an expense. Okay, and actually we weren't able to set the default cost. We set the sales price of the service item. Okay. Designate the payment to the independent contractor as billable. Yes, that worked very well. Designate the payment as billable to a project. Yes, that worked very well. View expenses incurred but not yet billed. Okay, so that's going on to the next part. Okay, so let's move on. So now the project asks us to view the unpaid bills, and so I don't think we have a lot of them. So let's go to expenses. Let's see. So there are unbilled. We want what are our unpaid. So let's go to bills. Here we go. So that gives us our 3 unpaid expenses. Okay, very good. So we can do that. That's nice. View a list of vendors. Yes, we saw where we were able to do vendors. Transactions by vendor. So click on the vendor. Yes, gives you a list of transactions by vendor. Very good. View unpaid bills by vendor. Yes, and this is a bill that's unpaid, so we're viewing our unpaid bills. Very good. Okay, so let's go to our scorecard here. View expenses incurred but not yet billed. Yes. View unpaid bills. Yes. List of vendors. Yes. Unpaid bills by vendor. Transactions by vendor. Very good. Okay. So the next task, record an electronic payment of the utility bill. So now we're going to pay the bills that are already entered. Okay. So let's find the bill for the utility bill. Okay. That's this electric bill, the utility bill. Let's click on it. Okay, looks like you can actually make multiple payments on the same bill, so that could be handy. So let's add a payment here. $150. It says electronic payment, so we'll just say that it was a, is there an AC? We'll just say bank transfer. Okay, we paid it on 120. And add payment. I'm going to assume this is going to take it out of our petty cash account because it's entered by hand. Okay, very good. Pay the $1,000 owed to the widgets guy with a check. Okay, so let's go back to bills. $1,000 owed to widgets guy. Let's pay it. This time we're going to pay it with a check. And we're paying it on 124. Okay. Payments notes, we can say check number. Say like check number 1000 perhaps. Okay. Now, notice we can't print a check here, right? I mean, we can't even tell it which cash account to take it out of at this point. So there's no way this is going to be able to print a check. So we're going to have to write the check by hand or type it up or have some other system in order to actually print checks. We can't print checks from FreshBooks. Okay. pay $400 of the $550 owed to the widgets guy for that other bill. So let's go back to bills. So this is what we call short paying a vendor. So we owe him $550. We have some sort of dispute, so we're going to short pay him. So add a payment. And this is actually really easy. This is nice. Some systems don't let you short pay. So we are short paying him with a check on 125. Payment notes, check number 1001. Okay, add this payment. Okay, so we were able to short pay him and we still owe him 150, so that's great. Okay, now we're going to get complicated. So on February 12th, let's return one plumbing widget to the widgets guy for a refund of $11. The widgets guy issues you a credit that can be applied toward future expenses. So can we get a credit from the widgets guy? Be honest, I'm going to be pretty surprised if this system will do it, but I'm going to do a little bit of research. Okay, so I'm going to pause it. I'm going to do a little bit of research. Okay, I'm back. I did some research. You can't do vendor credits in FreshBooks. They do have a new feature that we'll go over with accounts receivable where you can create credits to your customers, but there are no credits that you can't record a credit from your vendor. Okay. So then moving on 2/15, you purchase 10 plumbing widgets for $11 each. Issue a check for the bill, but after applying the $11 credit towards the purchase. So we weren't able to do the credit, so we'll just do the credit by hand. So we're just going to issue a check. So let's just do an expense directly. No need to do a bill. So a new expense. Add a category. We can't do plumbing widgets. We're not allowed to use items here, so we're just going to have to do purchases. Now, if you were doing this for real, you would have to have your accountant at the end of the year do a journal entry to get this amount out of purchases and onto inventory on your balance sheet. Otherwise, your income is misstated. What? Okay. The widgets guy. Why is he not showing up? So that's weird. So before we did bills and record widgets guy as a vendor under bills, but now that we're doing expenses, he's not showing up in expenses. So we had to put him in again. Okay, so 10 widgets at $11 each is $110 minus the $11 credit. So we owe him $99. So we had to do our credit by hand. Okay, and good. Save. Okay. Good. So let's take a look at our general ledger here, and I just want to make sure that we are correct about how this. I think all of the expenses, because they're manually added, should all be coming out of our petty cash account, is what the help told me. What? No, I don't want balance sheet. Is what the customer service told me. So let's look at our general ledger. Yeah, so we can see all of these amounts are coming out of our petty cash. We had a lot more than that. Oh, uh, yeah, let's do it for the whole year. Okay, there we go. Um, so it looks like some of these I recorded with incorrect dates, so I'm going to go back. I won't make you suffer through and watch me do it, but I'll go back and I'm going to change the dates on these expenses so that when we go to reconcile the account, they're showing up correctly. So it does look like everything came out of petty cash. Hopefully we can fix that, assign them to the checking account when we reconcile the checking account. Okay, so that's long, but that's chapter 2 of the Fit Small Business case study for FreshBooks.